All right. Well, I believe Mr. Tolbert, I checked in with him this morning, so I know will be here shortly as well. So I think we have got a crew here, so we will get started. I will call the St. Paul City Council to order. Roll call.
Prince. Councilmember Prince, you're on mute.
Thank you. Here.
Tao.
Here.
Tolbert. Yang.
Here.
Jalali. Naker.
Here.
Council President Brenman.
Here.
5 present, 2 absent, being council members Tolbert and Naker.
So good morning. This morning for our Wednesday 10
Sorry,
a.m.
Naker's present.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
just wanted to make sure I'm here.
Jalali and Tolbert are absent.
I'm here.
I realized I said it.
And I said this before we called the meeting to order, but I will say it again for the record. Councilmember Jalali is at the Community First Public Safety meeting with the Citizens League as our council representative, and so she is not able to attend this public hearing this morning. Her assistant, Matt Pravetsky, is in attendance and will be listening and taking notes on behalf of Ward 4. But she regrets not being able to attend, but until we've invented a way to be at 2 places at the same time, we recognize the challenge there for her. So this morning we have one item on our agenda. It is a public hearing to offer community a chance to provide community impact statements regarding the Lamplighter Bar and Lounge at Rice and Larpenteur. Today on our council agenda, item number 19 is the approval of renewals of the liquor on sale license for the Lamplighter Lounge, and that is item 19. It is under discussion, and we will be able to have a full conversation about the license approval at that time. A part of the record does show a voluntary signed condition affidavit between the Lamplighter and the Department of Safety and Inspections, which we will also discuss at that time. The goal here this morning at the public hearing, though, is to provide community members an opportunity to share their perspective on this business. I've represented Ward 5 for 9 years and have received numerous complaints regarding this business and the parking lots and areas around it. With a fevered pitch last year, violence and even murder in the parking lot. Previous years, a very young girl was taken from the laundromat next door to this business by a patron of the Lamplighter. Just on and on with very concerning activity in and outside of the business. And we wanted to provide an opportunity for our community members to share their experiences, their comments about the community impact of this business. We have lots of new businesses in this one-story strip mall along Rice and Larpenteur, where all of you know we've done quite a good deal of investment of city dollars and in partnership with Roseville and with Maplewood. There are new restaurants that are struggling to survive. There are, like I mentioned, a couple laundromats that are providing a valuable service to our community, and one even provides the libraries. I forget what it's called now, like Suds and Reading, or it's got a better name than that, but where we provide Wi-Fi and books at the library so that when kids are there with their parents, they can find better things to do than watch the laundry spin around. So there's a ton of investment and innovation in this area, save one business who doesn't seem to be particularly concerned about its impact on the community. So today we have had an open invitation for folks to provide input. 29 people have signed up to share. We've offered them 2 minutes to speak, which we all know goes very quickly. Ms. Moore will help by reminding people when they have 30 seconds remaining of their time, and then I'll do my best to keep their testimony to 2 minutes, recognizing that I'm sure there are plenty of people on this call who could talk for an hour if we gave them that amount of time, but we do want to make sure that we give everyone an opportunity to share their input today. So, and again, item number 19 will be on our agenda this afternoon, and we can discuss more fully at that time. This will just be an opportunity to create this record. This record will be shared with the building owner and the business owner, and also attached to the public record. Are there any questions before we get started? All right. So seeing none, why don't we start our public hearing? I know we have staff that are working to bring people into the call, and they'll introduce who's testifying, and then we will start their testimony timer.
Good morning, Council President Brenmo and council members. The first caller on the line is Ms. Chantel Adam of Love First.
Okay, and I believe we are, this is Chantel Allen, the school board member of Love First, correct?
Yeah, yes. Thank
okay,
you.
just wanted to thank you. Welcome. Welcome.
All right. Thank you, council members and Madam President, President Rinneman, for hearing me today. I do a lot of community work and community organizing around creating and maintaining safe spaces for youth and for communities to dwell and to thrive. I believe in small businesses. I believe St. Paul is the heart of small businesses. It allows our economy to thrive. It allows all of our citizens in the city of St. Paul to thrive. And I'm really concerned about this space. Over the years, I've frequented in this area for a lot of different reasons, whether I was utilizing the thrift store or what my favorite pizza place is Hearthside Pizza, so I eat there all the time. I worked at previously Arlington High School and then now Washington High School during the summer previously. And then I've also worked in Parks and Rec, so I've spent a lot of time at the batting cages over in that area. And in my fun days, in my early 20s, I had a lot of fun in that area because there was a lot of nice nightclubs that existed. And so I'm very kind of in this area. I feel like it's part of my community. I feel like the entire St. Paul city is part of my community. And I am very concerned about the level of violence that occurs in this particular parking lot and has for a lot of years. And it seems like it stems out of the venue, the Lamplighter. I don't know if it has to do with the type of businesses the business that they're running.
30 seconds remaining.
It is a problem. Oh, let me get to the point. I'm concerned about that. If there's any way that we can shape this business so that it can support community in a positive way, if there's any way that we can start to create a security plan so that all citizens that are frequenting in this area can be safe, I think that that's mandatory right now. I do, the level of trauma from being shot or harmed violently carries way beyond that particular day. And I think that's something that we really need to start to pay attention to and how that affects the citizens throughout the city of St. Paul when we don't shut down these violent areas. So I just wanted to get right to the point since I had 30 seconds. I know you guys used to me going over time, but I like to be courteous now that I'm an elected official a little bit. So thank you guys all for hearing me today. I continue to do some work on Rice Street, and you'll hear from me, and you will see me around. I actually had a conversation with one of the victims from that parking lot, and we plan on doing some pop-ups and shifting the atmosphere in that area. So I look forward to doing some work in there. Thank you.
Ms. Allen, before you hang up, I just thank you so much for your service to the community on the school board, and also just your commitment and service to the community as an individual and as a professional now with your Love Up work, and particularly the effort that you're putting into the North End, which has been without other social service entities, there hasn't been a concerted effort just in that one particular area, and your efforts have not gone unnoticed. We really appreciate your commitment there. I did see Mr. Tao had his hand up, and I want to make sure if he had a question for you that I didn't miss that before you hung up. Mr. Tao, did you have a question for Ms. Allen?
I do not, Council President. I was just wondering if before the next speaker, would it be appropriate for the staff to at least give some a little synopsis of what the Lamplighter is for the record for folks who may not know the Lamplighter. For example, the amount of police call to the business and to that area, so that people have a context of what we're talking about.
Yeah, you know what? I appreciate that. Thank you for that question. So let me just thank you, Ms. Allen. Thank you for being here today. And we will continue to look forward to working with you in the future. So thank you. And then to Mr. Dye's question, I think if that would be helpful for people, I would be happy. I know Mr. Hudak is on the phone from the Department of Safety and Inspections and is able to do a brief summary report. I was struggling to determine if it made more sense to do that in front of this community impact statements or if it made sense to do it before our item on the agenda today. But I think what the heck, let's do it both times. Having the context, if it helps, you're right, not all across the city, our council members are not as impacted by this business as maybe others are. So just to get a little bit of a context, I think would be very helpful. So Mr. Hudak, is it possible for you to give us a quick synopsis of the state of this business and what's its impact on the Rice-Larpenteur area?
Sure, Council President Brenmoen and council members, I was prepared to give a staff summary, but as Councilmember Tao indicated, there have been quite a few calls for service there over the past 5 years or so. A majority of those calls, I believe, were termed as proactive police visits. So there's a lot of attention that's been done to not only the ladder, but the surrounding parking lot and an area there. I guess those questions would be posed to police as far as numbers of calls for service and exactly what those calls were for. I'm certainly prepared to provide a summary at the 3:30 regular council hearing this afternoon to better quantify and put some context behind what Councilmember Tao has asked.
And Mr. Hudak, thank you. And I would also say that in the item number 19 in the public record, there is a summary report from the Roseville Police Department, the Maplewood Police Department, two cities that touch the border there at Rice-Larpenteur that summarize their police calls. But I was noted in particular that the St. Paul Police Department has been to this business 729 times since January 1st, 2018. And that, is essentially 200 times or more a year, which to me is beyond excessive consumption. I mean, 700 times in a decade is still 70 times a year. Sometimes they're coded as a proactive police visit, but Mama's Pizza doesn't have proactive police visits. The Como Lakeside Pavilion doesn't have proactive police visits to that extent. Their police. When I did my ride along, the police sat out in this parking lot at closing time. They said because it saved them time in the long run. But to me, that's like providing private security service for a private business. And I think that it is beyond excessive consumption to have 729 police visits in a 3-year span, especially under rules of COVID, when the business should have all but been closed down part of that time. You'd think those numbers would go down. And so I think it's relevant to point out the context of police calls. And then also just a reminder that we've, as a city, have invested quite a bit with two other cities, Roseville and Maplewood, on this intersection to create a neighborhood that is a neighborhood of choice for people, not a neighborhood where they just happen to end up. A walkable, livable, shoppable, safe community that's near a high school, that's connected to bike infrastructure, that's infilled with sidewalks so people can walk around safely. And so just thinking about the level of police calls to the area alone, and that's just when the police were actually called. This area tends to not call. There's not the business faces a large parking lot, so I'm sure there's plenty of things that don't get reported. But when we're trying to move upward and forward and create this livable community, that kind of impact on our city's resources is irrefutable. Does that help create a little context, Mr. Tao?
Yes, Council President, thank you.
Thanks for asking that question too. I appreciate it. Like I said, I was kind of struggling with the license renewal is at 3:30, but on the other hand, it really does help to create some context here this morning. So thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it. All right, let's go on to our second caller, our second testifier.
Council President Brenmone and council members, Ms. Maria Perry is on the line.
Welcome, Maria Perry. Welcome. We're going to start your timer when you get started. So you've been introduced, and we just love to hear your perspective here this morning. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, City Council and Madam President. Again, my name is Maria Perry, and I'm a concerned community member, and I want to share that, yes, we have a community emergency, and we need to respond. The lamplighter has been in this neighborhood for quite a long time, and I've noticed and I've been around when we've experienced violence and death amongst our children. My son was murdered May 3rd of 2019, not at the lamplighter, but in community. We need to pay attention to adding healing spaces and things that bring positive environmental experiences in our neighborhood. This lamplighter has over like 4 or 5 different complex buildings that are filled with families. And right now we need to start adding, different opportunities for our kids to see positive things in that neighborhood, from the parking lot to the liquor, to the drugs, to the police calls. All of that is unnecessary. I am concerned about that place being there. I know that this is an emotional testament for myself, because I don't want another parent to lose another child in that area. We have to start being critical, and we have to start being intentional about adding different places that will add positive impact on our community. So if you guys can hear us now, we are asking for your help. This place needs to be removed and replaced with something great where kids can smile and families can feel free to walk out of their homes and see something positive, not someone's blood laying on the concrete in the parking lot because they were shot in the head by someone that didn't have passion to understand how that life was mattered. So today I'm
30
asking
seconds.
you to consider to hear the voices of our parents and our mothers and our fathers and their siblings, around this violence. We need to dismantle what is necessary, and that is giving the liquor license back or just tearing the whole license down and replacing the whole building. I don't know, but we're asking for your help. And so if you can hear us, I thank you for that now, but I just wanted to share my heart in that. We need to do something about this lamplighter. It can no longer be in our community. We need to remove it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Thank you so much, and know that we are continuing to join forces with you and all establishments in our neighborhood that are creating these spaces. And I am so sorry for the losses that you have endured, and I thank you for your continued advocacy. It matters. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Council President Brenmone, Ramsey County Commissioner Trista Mattis Castillo is on the line.
Welcome, Commissioner.
Thank you, Council President Brenmone and council members. Listening to Mara's testimony is really the reason I'm here today. As Commissioner, I've heard so many stories similar to Mara's that we really need to stop this violence that is happening at the lamplighter. I think it's good to know that the lamplighter is in the heart of a residential and a potentially vibrant business area. And there's thousands of families that live in the immediate area. And one of the most successful among charter schools is just footsteps away from the lamplighter. And we hear about this community violence and gun violence that happens, and the number of police calls and crime that happen outside, in and around, because people are drawn into the lamplighter and what goes on there. I think it's appropriate on the heels that we're having this hearing on the heels of horrific and tragic mass shootings that have happened across our country and Atlanta, and the misogynistic violence against women. It really does beg to answer the question, is this the right kind of business that we want in a community, in a neighborhood, of where schools, and what message are we sending to the children and family who live and work in the neighborhood? We need businesses that add to the quality of life, that bring resources to a community. This is a very vulnerable, as you know, it's a vulnerable neighborhood. There are a lot of new immigrant families. There are a lot of families who've been there for a really long time, and they're just simply exhausted from the amount of violence that they've experienced because of the lamplighter.
30
I
seconds.
just wanted to share, this is a place that we are wanting to invest in. We want to grow, and as you said earlier, we want to connect to have livable, walkable community. And the thing that is stopping us, the thing that is preventing us from being successful in this community is the activities and the violence and the crime that is happening at the lamplighter. And so we really appreciate you and all the people that are testifying to make sure that we are thinking about what decisions we can make around a business like this, and how do we encourage businesses to be good partners and to add quality of life to our community. And so thank you so much for the time today, and thank you for wrestling with this really hard situation.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you for being a partner in our work here at Rice Larpenteur and so much more. We appreciate your testimony very much.
Council President Brendmoen and council members, Mayor Abrams is next on the line.
Welcome, Mayor Abrams from the city of Maplewood. Thank you for being here today.
Good morning, Council President Brendmoen and City Council members. My name is Mary Lee Abrams, and I'm the Mayor of Maplewood. Rice Larpenteur is a unique location where three cities come together in one neighborhood. So many hardworking people live and work there.
What happened? What happened?
Yeah, all of a sudden I couldn't hear Ms. Abrams.
I'm sorry, it appears that we have lost her. I will call her back. My apologies.
That's all right.
The mayor is back.
Good
Welcome, Mayor Abrams.
morning. Thank you. Good morning, President Brendmoen and City Council members. My name is Mary Lee Abrams, and I serve as the Mayor of Maplewood. Rice Larpenteur is a unique location where three cities come together in one neighborhood. There are so many hardworking people who live and work there. The drunk drivers, the violence, and other disorder that results from patrons leaving the lamplighter establishment is a disgrace, and it impacts not only St. Paul, but Roseville and Maplewood, too. As a member of the Rice Larpenteur Alliance, I'm here to support the City of St. Paul in using all of the legal tools at their disposal to resolve issues of violence and disorder that we're discussing here today. The City of Maplewood knows firsthand the chaos that can arise where businesses can't contain or manage trouble with patrons that are unruly and have illegal behavior. Twice in the past 5 years, Maplewood has had to work with nightclubs and event centers on extensive operational action plans to ensure that they invest in the resources necessary to hold their customers accountable for what happens inside their establishments and the spillover that impacts on neighboring communities. As a city, one of our most important proactive tools is tying a business's responsiveness and success at quelling violence and disorder back to their liquor license. I would encourage my colleagues on the St. Paul City Council to look at all options in formalizing an operational action plan concerning the lamplighter. There needs to be accountability and a behavioral change that ensures everyone in the community can live and work in peace, free from fear of drunk drivers, drug deals, or stray bullets. As an active partner in the Rice Larpenteur Alliance, I want to commend our partners for that hard work in making so many improvements in the area in just a few short years with major investments that are planned for the future. Improvements have led to a safer, better connected community. Quarterly outings are bringing neighbors and business leaders together. Our joint work is creating a wonderful community. The St. Paul City Council today has the opportunity to contribute to those improvements. Please don't let all that hard work be undone by the irresponsible conduct of one business. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Ms. Abrams. We appreciate your partnership at Rice Larpenter and all you do in the city of Maplewood. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Council President Bren Moen, I have on the line Ms. Latanya Black, mother of Nia Black and founder of Mothers Against Community Gun Violence.
Welcome, Ms. Black. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank President Bren Moen and the City Council members for having me here today. This was extremely hard, and I've listened to all of the people before me speak. I think I want to take you guys to a very real place. It may be uncomfortable, but I think it needs to be told. I've listened to everyone speak about the lamplighter and Nia's family, friends, loved ones. We completely stand with the community and advocate to have this place shut down. The woman spoke earlier, and she said that children should be in a safe place and not have to live in a space where they see blood on the ground from someone losing their life. Well, she was speaking about my daughter. My daughter was shot in the head, 23. She was full of life. Nia was an entrepreneur. Nia was a full-time college student. She was a business owner. She gave back to her community. Her last day, when they took her away from here, she seen a little child sitting on the bus stop on the corner crying because he had fallen off his skateboard. Nia had a heart of gold. She took this young boy home, not even knowing who he was, to his mother's house, and this little boy ended up with broken limbs. This was her last good deed in this world the day she was taken away from us. That was the heart of Nia, the heart and soul of the family that she came from. So I want to say to you today, that as you listen to everyone testifying, until it lands on your doorstep, and I'm speaking to the owner, until it lands on your doorstep and you have detectives standing outside your door to tell you that your 23-year-old baby, we just celebrated her birthday 19 days ago, and where we normally would decorate and get ready for a party, we went to a graveyard to celebrate my daughter's birthday. So until you stand in a funeral home over your daughter and you have to look at her fingernails as you try to file them to get her ready for her last viewing in this world because her fingernails are all broken off and chipped up from fighting for her life at your place, this establishment that does not mean community. Because community is social, and it's about gathering, and it's about living and breathing life into a community when you are doing completely the opposite. You are taking life. The lamplighter is bringing darkness into that community. So until you stand in a funeral home and have to watch them, Nia was a professional makeup artist where in her life she was so excited. She had a promising future. She was so excited, Mommy, I'm getting A-list clients and my business is growing. And to watch this young lady who did beauty and makeup on other people to bring out the best in them, but now you have to watch a makeup artist put makeup on her lifeless body to hide the bruises that my baby endured from a brawl that took place at the lamplighter, where my baby could be here with us right now because this could have been avoided had security had come out and did their job, stopped the fighting, called the police officer. A gentleman next door that lives in that apartment building said he yelled several times saying, somebody called the police, something bad is going to happen over there tonight. And it happened, and my baby's not here. So what you hear in my pain, in my body, in my mind, in my soul, in my spirit is the pain of knowing that my daughter will never know her 2-month-old baby nephew that was just birthed in this world. She will never get an opportunity to spend time with her 3-year-old niece, her sibling. sibling. She's no longer here with us. So I am pleading. You guys are hearing everything about the lamplighter, the stats, the statistics, the numbers. I'm telling you from the soul of a mother who had to come home because Nia was the last one living at home, and you don't know what it is to have to box up your child's belongings and go in the bathroom and still see where they may have just showered the night before and their bath towel is still hanging in the shower and their dirty laundry is in the laundry room. So I plead with you today. I'm trying to give you a backside look at what this thing really does, the devastation to a family as a whole. Nia did not deserve to die on the concrete, bleeding out from something that could have been 100% avoidable had the owner did what was right by his patrons and by my daughter. So I thank you for your time today, but I needed you guys to really see the behind the scenes of what the devastation this establishment has caused to a community and my daughter, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Black, so much for your testimony and for your ongoing work to prevent this from ever happening to another mother again. The courage that it takes you to tell the story is noted. Our hearts are with you, and the loss I know is devastating for you, for your family, and for the community that Nia was part of. I'm so sorry, and thank you for being here today. We're gonna work arm in arm with you to make a difference here.
Thank you.
Council President Brenmore and council members, I have Mrs. Jamie Ratanapansuk from Thai Street Market on the line.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, Jamie.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share. And first of all, I just want to say we are so saddened by the acts of violence that have taken place in the area. And I can't tell you how many customers of ours that have said something like, I almost didn't try Thai Street Market because of the area that it's in. And we're only open until about 9 o'clock in the evening, but we have intoxicated people come through our doors midday. And a little while back, we had a man enter our business without a shirt on, and his pants were falling down, and he was obviously very drunk. When we informed him that he couldn't be in our business if he wasn't wearing a shirt, then he turned around, walked out the door, and proceeded to climb into one of our customers' cars. So my husband had to go out and tell him to get out of the car. So he sat there on the parking curb right in front of our restaurant until a friend came to pick him up. Another situation, about a week ago, we had an intoxicated man come in around 5 p.m. and he wanted change for a 20. It's a pretty common occurrence for us. I guess people are looking for change for the bus or something, but when we couldn't make change, the man was immediately angry at our waitress and started swearing at her and refused to leave until she called the police. These are just a couple of examples of things that have happened while we've had customers dining in our restaurant. And while we have some of the most amazing and supportive and faithful and graceful customers, I wouldn't blame anyone if they went out after an experience like that and told their friends about something like that. And what does that type of thing do to our business? And I'm sure it's not just our business that's affected by incidences like this. And we want everyone in our community to feel safe, no matter where they're going out to eat, what they're doing in the community. They should feel like it's safe and a comfortable place for them to be. Yesterday, we had a customer come in around 3 p.m. to pick up food.
30 seconds.
He said that they would love to come and dine in the evening. However, they were afraid to do so because of the frequent shootings that were happening in our area after dark. And Lamplighter doesn't force anyone to walk out of their business and go commit a crime or to walk down to our business and disturb our customers, but it's simply a nature of having a strip club there, that it's going to attract people who are looking for what their business offers. And with that certainly comes violence and inappropriate conduct. And we're so thankful to be a part of this community and a part of the positive change. And we're happy that there's some rallying support for the positive change. And we just appreciate your time this morning and hearing what people have to say. So thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your testimony and the impact on the businesses around the facility. And I'll just point out, for my colleagues' benefit and for the public record, that Undoubtedly, when you make a call to the police to report the person who walked into the business, that police report is attached to your address as opposed to the lamplighter's address. So the number 729, which I mentioned earlier, is probably a low number because of calls that are made from areas around the building. So I just want to acknowledge that as well. And thank you for your investment in Rice Larpenteur and your restaurant, and for working with us as we improve the intersections. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Council President, the next speaker is David May of Roseville Church of Christ.
Welcome, Mr. May.
Hi, good morning, Madam President and members of the council. I represent the church, which is meets 2 blocks west on Larpenteur from the Lamplighter. We're at 241 Larpenteur. The majority of our members are members of minority groups, and a number of them are African immigrants, and we're right next to several big apartment buildings that are full of immigrants and refugees, and I just try to tell you that to let you know the nature of whom I'm representing here today. We fully support. I'll be brief, but I want to add our support to the recommendations that have been made to the council for additional restrictions on that license. The security guards, particularly the security guard detailed outside of the building in the parking lot, would help. As a Christian church, we don't support the notion of strip clubs and the degradation of women, and would really like to see the Lamplighter closed down altogether. But in the interim, or at least instead of that, we fully support the recommendations that are being made to the council today for the restrictions with regard to their security. I thank you for your time. Appreciate you having this hearing, and you're entertaining the recommendations for restrictions on the Lamplighter's license.
Thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate your testimony.
Mm-hmm.
Council President Brenmoy and council members, I have Ms. Amos on the line.
Welcome, Ms. Amos.
Hi there. Hello, I'll start off by saying Nia Black is and was my niece, who I dearly loved. She was a 23-year-old aspiring artist. She was known by many, and she continues to be known by many. And I want to say, as her aunt, I am deeply saddened by the events that took place last June. I am so torn inside that this lamplighter continues to be allowed to do business in a neighborhood that is tearing families apart day by day. I was in the neighborhood last July, and so many members came out from the public, from the community around the Lamplighter, stating that, if anything, please try to get this place closed down because there is too much violence. The apartment building next door is shot into in the middle of the night. People were telling me that their individual family loved ones were laying in the parking lot, bleeding half to death. And as a community member, I believe that St. Paul needs to step up and close the Lamplighter or restrict their license so no more violence can tear apart families. My sister, LaTanya Black, Nia Black's mother, is torn to pieces behind the events that took place. Nia's life did not have to end that day. This is a devastation that has taken my family and torn it completely apart. Day by day, I'm reminded every time someone has to lose their life that this could have been prevented. And I'm begging the city of St. Paul to not renew their license. Do whatever it takes, but right now we need to save our communities, and this business being allowed to still cause devastation to families is not right. Do the right thing, St. Paul, and the licenses from being renewed. I want to say, as a mother, I feel every day for my niece leaving the way that she did. It was so violent. No mother, aunt, grandmother should ever have to experience the loss like we did. And it could have been prevented. I believe that St. Paul has to take action and close this place down, because it is not fair to everyone around there fearing, just driving down the street. It's a fear that a bullet could come raining out at them, and it should not be. So St. Paul, please do the right thing and do not renew the license for the lamplighter.
Thank you, Ms.
That's all I have
Amos.
to say.
Thank you so much. And I am so sorry about the loss of your niece. Thank you for testifying here today.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Council President, the next speaker is Ms. Kim O'Brien from the Rice and Larpenteur Alliance.
Welcome, Ms. O'Brien.
Thank you. Hello, Council President Brenmoen. Hello, members of the City Council. My name is Kim O'Brien, and I'm coming to you today as the director of the Rice and Larpenteur Alliance. I'm sorry if my voice is wavering. My heart is pounding from Nia's family's testimony. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we sure can. Take a second if you need it.
Okay, sorry. Thank you. So I'm working on community development and reinvestment in the Rice and Larpenteur neighborhood, along with 50 members of the local community. I hope you received our letter and public testimony, as well as reports of police activity at the lamplighter, both from the city of Maplewood, the city of Roseville, and calls from the city of St. Paul. We have a shared vision for our neighborhood community that the Rice and Larpenteur area is a safe, engaging, and inviting neighborhood center that includes common spaces, a high-quality pedestrian environment, and robust investment for the diverse people of our community to live, do business, and play together. It's really a special place. It is a highly dense residential neighborhood that is home to immigrants from all over the world. It has wonderful businesses and entrepreneurs. It has committed residents in churches and schools. This is a special neighborhood, and we've put forth an enormous effort to highlight all of the positive things happening in the community. Despite repeated efforts to engage the business owners at the Lamplighter Lounge, they have not participated in our work. They have not communicated, and instead, far too many times, our neighborhood is featured on the news not for the wonderful aspects of it, but for the violence and crime that occurs outside of the Lamplighter Lounge. And it has to stop because too many people are putting in too much time, effort, and resources to help and support this neighborhood. I participated in Mothers Against Community Gun Violence's Peace Walk in honor of Nia just days after her death. And it struck me walking down Rice Street and ending up at the Lamplighter Lounge that the residents of the local communities were coming out of their buildings and telling us stories about bullets hitting their building. Families sitting on their balcony overlooking the parking lot yelling, "Shut it down." These are community members who are investing their lives and raising their families, and it is not fair that this business continues to tear at the fabric of their community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. O'Brien, and thanks for your tireless work at Rice and Larpenteur, and particularly on this important issue. We appreciate your testimony.
Thank you, Council President Brenmoen and members of the City Council. Bye-bye.
Council President Brenmoen and council members, I have Ms. Erica Coleman from the Mothers Against Community Gun Violence on the line.
Welcome, Ms. Coleman.
Thank you. Morning, Madam President and City Council members. My name is Erica Coleman, and I am a St. Paul native. Nia Black is a business owner and valued member of different community boards and organizations. Nia is founder and owner of Project Brooklyn, where she highlighted the talent of local Twin Cities artists and has a vision to take it nationwide. As a makeup artist, Nia had clients that flew into the Twin Cities on a monthly basis, including celebrities and Super Bowl performers. Nia Black went to Lamplighter Lounge on June 13, 2020, and never returned home. as she was murdered due to gun violence. Nia was 23. The Lamplighter Lounge is an epicenter of violence, destruction, and terror, and has been for over 2 decades. Why are they still open to negatively impact the community? Mothers Against Community Gun Violence, also known as MACGV, was founded by the mother of Nia Black in her pain, grief, and extreme heartache, with the mission to build infrastructure in our community where violence is not an option. We, the mothers, fathers, siblings, and community members of MACGV, are calling for the immediate revocation or denial of the Lamplighter Lounge license. The amount of public dollars spent on this location because of this particular establishment due to violence, public safety concerns, and preventative measures is fiscally irresponsible. It is even more damaging that the lives of the children, families, and individuals that frequent surrounding businesses, attend adjacent faith-based organizations, work in safe, law-abiding establishments, and live in mixed-income housing in the neighborhood and area of the Lamplighter Lounge are placed in harm's way just by going about their day-to-day dealings, and that this has not been enough for the city of St. Paul to shut down the Lamplighter Lounge. Enough is enough. Human life is valuable, period. Human life is more valuable
30
than a
seconds.
business or profit. Nia Black should be here today. Owners of Lamplighter Lounge, City of St. Paul, Nia Black's spilt blood is on your hands. Now is the time for you to act in the best interest of the people of St. Paul. Deny and revoke the Lamplighter Lounge license. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Coleman. Thanks for your advocacy and your work with the family of Nia Black. We really appreciate your testimony and also your tireless advocacy, particularly for this corner, but also to stop the gun violence in our communities and this needless killing and pain that it is causing our community members. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Council President Bren Moen. The next speaker on the line is Ms. Angela Myers of the Minneapolis NAACP.
Welcome, Ms. Myers.
Thank you. My name is Angela Myers. I was contacted today to speak by Mothers Against Community Gun Violence, and particularly the family of Nia Black. I believe that today is an opportunity to hold the Lamplighter accountable for the public to say on record, enough is enough. We require a certain dedication to safety and peace from all levels of our community, and we all have a part to play to end community violence and community gun violence. Businesses are not exempt from this community dedication. I've been contacted by community members to address the violence and disorderly conduct at the Lamplighter Lounge that has happened over years. I believe that the Lamplighter should be held accountable for the multiple instances of violence on their property. As we as a community have conversations about the future of public safety, we must require businesses in our community to dedicate themselves to protect and keep our communities safe. So the Lamplighter has not shown a dedication to this public safety, and as our community works together to build a new future, we must have businesses that serve our community also dedicate themselves to safety, to peace, and to nonviolence through prevention and through other measures of securing our safety. As what my understanding of the unfortunate event that happened in June 2020 of Nia Black's murder, my understanding is that there were there was a large fight that happened on the property of the Lamplighter. And unfortunately, the Lamplighter did not stop these infractions, and then unfortunately this orderly conduct and this fight led to the terrifying shootout that happened in the parking lot of the Lamplighter, and then
30 seconds.
So as I said, the Lamplighter should be held accountable for this, and I'm grateful for the opportunity today, and also really moved by other presenters and other testifiers as they speak on how we need to hold our community accountable. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony here today and for your advocacy and work. We appreciate it so much.
Council President Bren Moen and council members, I have Ms. Simone Black on the line from the Mothers Against Community Gun Violence.
Welcome, Ms. Black. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm Nia's older sister, Nia Black's older sister, one of her older sisters, and I believe that the lamplighter should be held. Can you hear me?
Yes, we sure can.
Okay. I believe the lamplighter should be held accountable because this was my sister's first time ever at this establishment, but this is not this establishment's first time ever being in this place of like damaging families. And this has definitely affected like generations worth of people in our family, from my daughter to my great-grandmother to cousins, aunts, uncles, not just in the family sense, but she truly united our family. She was very loving, giving, caring. She took our grandmother to grocery stores, medicine appointments. She'll pick up her nieces and nephews in a heartbeat. Her participation in family was very valuable and very necessary, and very last minute and very impactful how this establishment's lack of safety and to maintain its standard of business and safety overall is being held unaccountable is just so scary. And overall, it just caused so much pain. Like, my voice is so shaky because I've never thought I would be here in this position to have to speak for such a thing. I actually was in business with my sister, and business is something our family focused on. So, like, for something that was so little and light to be so heavy and impactful is just, it's just beyond. Again, I just believe that lamplighter should be held fully accountable for his actions and lack thereof. And I'm speechless, honestly.
Ms. Black, thank you for testifying today and for adding your perspective. I'm so sorry about the loss of your sister. I understand this is just a terrible tragedy for you and your family, and I'm so sorry, and thank you for helping us move forward productively.
Thank you.
Council President Brenmoen. The next speaker is Candace Swingler, Mothers Against Community Gun Violence.
Welcome, Ms. Swingler.
Hello. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? Welcome.
Thank you. So yes, I wanted to speak on behalf of my baby cousin, Nia Black, who was this beautiful young lady, just so full of life, entrepreneur, as you guys know, mentor, but also she was just a good, loving person. So we found out a couple days after she was taken from us that particular night on her way going out, that she encountered a young man, maybe 10 to 12 years old. He had fallen off his bike, broke his arm. She allowed him to use her cell phone to call his mother, and then she took him to where his mother was. And so the mother left a voicemail. That's how we found out. The mom left a voicemail thanking her that she brought her baby to her and informed her that he had broke his wrist and broke maybe his something else. It was two different places where he had broken. But I'm speaking on that just to paint a picture of her character and how loving and caring that she was outside of just being an entrepreneur and a makeup artist and, just being young. And so she had a very good heart, and the core of the family. And, it's just my heart goes out. That's my cousin, but my heart goes out to her sisters and her mother, LaTanya Black. And still, even in her pain of grieving for her daughter, trying to make sure that no one else experienced the loss that she has. And that loss could have been prevented if there was measures that Lamplighter would have taken before then. And because she wasn't the first person to lose their life there or to be shot there. This has been going on for years. And so I think that's the saddest part, but that's my piece.
Thank you, Ms. Wingler. I'm so sorry for the loss of your cousin and for the tragedy that's befallen your family. And thank you for being here to testify and to help in our work to move forward with a better terms that they're at the Lamplighter and a safer community for everybody. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Council President Bremoy and council members, I have Carrie Antrim from District 6 Planning Council on the line.
Welcome, Ms. Antrim. Thank you for being here today.
Well, and thank you, and Council President, council members. In 2019, the North End Neighborhood Organization submitted a letter requesting that DSI impose conditions on the Lamplighter since we were under the understanding there were no conditions. With the absence of any conditions, we all assume that it's really difficult to impose any sanctions or any other adverse actions on the establishment. We feel that this is really kind of unacceptable to the North End community and this city as a whole. After what seemed to us to be little action, significant and violent crimes included homicide, aggravated assaults with use of a firearm, weapons discharged in the city limits, domestic assaults, fraud, drunkenness, strong arm robbery, criminal damage to property, arson, and disturbance and fights. The organization then sent a resolution in July 2020, again requesting action be taken. As of March 2018, there have been 729 records regarding calls for service with 562 proactive police visits. The proactive visits happen because of the history, neighborhood complaints, and the nature of the activity that can and should be directed back to the establishment. We feel that 562 visits is a lot of time expended, and Nino feels the Lamplighter should be classified as a problem property due to their inability to mitigate these issues and behaviors inside and outside of the establishment. And we have lost all confidence that they will ever be able to maintain control. We are simply requesting that the conditions sent forth that have been set forth be imposed on the license and add a change to the first condition to include security personnel have to be licensed and simply not just clearly identified. We want to mention that our hearts go out to all who have been failed by this establishment. The Lamplighter fails to operate in a safe and responsible manner. They have failed our neighborhood and our families impacted by violence. They have failed the city and they have failed their business. Having licensed security could possibly assist any efforts the establishment would make to ensure any safety. We hope you'll take the recommendation seriously, and thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Antrim, and thank you for providing the context around the conditions and sanctions piece of this. I think it's very puzzling. It's something that we will talk about at our 3:30 meeting today when we talk about the license renewal request. But I share your concerns, and I appreciate your bringing up those technical issues, as well as, of course, your leadership and ongoing concerns for the North End community, especially the violence that we've seen at this establishment and a few other hotspots around the neighborhood. So thank you for your testimony. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Council President, the next caller is Ms. Catherine Pryor of Aveda Arts and Science Institute and member of Mothers Against Community Gun Violence.
Welcome, Ms. Pryor.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak today in regards to this matter. I've prepared a written statement because this, again, on June 13th, outside the Lamplighter, Wilcom Black was killed and taken from all of us who loved and nurtured her. She was only 23 years old. I was one of Nia's teachers. I only have 2 minutes to say that. Why does a business like this that causes so much violence and death associated with this be allowed to exist? When Nia was killed, I Googled Lamplighter shooting, and I was shocked at the history of violence that happened at this establishment. I later found out that the criminal who killed Nia had shot someone else in the same parking lot and went to prison for it, but yet he was able to take Nia's knife and hang around the same place where guns and so much violence is commonplace. As I marched through the neighborhood on a walk to find justice for Nia Black, I saw a neighborhood that's been ignored with very little resources for families and children. It's time we all become a part of the change we want to see. We're devastated by the loss of Nia Brooklyn Black, and it's time people who make decisions on this matter do the right thing. Nia's family continues to honor and help families who have lost their children to gun violence by providing resources through Mothers Against Community Gun Violence. And I do everything to support this and honor Nia. In our current climate in our country, it's time we all take the proper steps. And I believe we'll do better when we all do better. So please don't renew this license. It's time to take care of this and shut this place down. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pryor. Thank you for your testimony. It's clear this loss is so painful for you and so many others, and I appreciate you taking your time to help us as we move forward in this process. We really appreciate your testimony.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Council President Brenmoy and council members, I have Ms. Gretchen Damon from Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense on the line.
Welcome, Ms. Damon.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Again, my name is Gretchen Damon. I am the co-leader of the St. Paul group of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense. We work as volunteers to pass laws and policies that keep guns out of the hands of dangerous people. We work to create a society of responsible gun ownership. My testimony here today centers on the irresponsible gun activity in a specific area of our city, the parking lot of the Lamplighter Lounge. The disproportionate occurrence of deaths and injuries by firearms on this relatively small piece of property creates an impact that reaches far beyond its square footage. Nia Black's life mattered. The other people whose lives have been taken or forever altered by gun violence at the Lamplighter Lounge matter. We support survivors and their call for accountability regarding the consistent violence associated with the Lamplighter Lounge. And we support the surrounding communities who also have called for an end to the violence and for the accountability of these brutal actions. Alcohol is associated with heightened levels of aggression and the likelihood of violent behavior. It inhibits problem solving and increases the occurrence of risk-taking behaviors. The combination of firearms and alcohol increases both perpetration of violence and increases the likelihood of victimization. Offering a gathering place like a parking lot where alcohol and firearms are allowed to come together is lethal and irresponsible.
30 seconds.
As an organization and as St. Paul residents, we want to work to combat gun violence, and that includes holding accountable businesses that serve as hotspots for violence and a continual drain on our city resources. Thank you to the City Council for considering restrictions on the Lamplighter Lounge.
Thank you, Ms. Damon, and thanks for your work with Moms Demand Action. We're in lockstep in partnership with you on reducing and preventing gun violence and access to guns. So thank you for your leadership with that and for testifying today about the Lamplighter Lounge. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you for having me.
Council President Brenmoen, the next person to testify is Cam.
Welcome, Cam.
Hey, so Nia Black was extremely close to me. I spent most of my life with her. Nia Black was a hard worker. You know, clients or not, she was in the studio from 9 to 5 working on homework or creating strategies to grow a business. For the ones who don't know who Nia Black is, you do personally through her spirit. She lives through your daughters, your sisters, your cousins, and your nieces. She was a full-time college student, working 9 to 5. She was goofy, she was funny, a business owner. She enjoyed spending time with her friends and family. And most importantly, she had dreams and aspirations. For a business such as the Lamplighter, your goal is to provide for not only yourself, but for the communities you operate in, regardless of your bottom line. Nia Black was a true asset to the community. She made women see and feel their true beauty, mentor those who seek to learn, and created networking spaces for other small businesses in the city. The reason MACG exists is because we want to take Nia's vision and meeting and create a purpose and keep her baton moving forward the best way that we know how, and that's through creating purpose. Our goal with MACG isn't to see retaliation with the Lamplighter, but simply preventative maintenance. You want to make sure that the same outcome doesn't happen to another family, because I know the uncurable heartache it causes. Having the Lamplighter in operation is a liability to the community, detrimental to the community, and they've repeated time and time again that they aren't willing to make that change. And one of the definitions that I've heard is insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And they've proven time and time again that they've done the same thing over and over again. What happened to Nia Black was preventable, and without the Lamplighter, she still would be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Cam. And I'm sorry, so sorry about the loss of your friend, Nia. And thank you for testifying here today. We appreciate your comments and your perspective very much.
I appreciate that. And she was my cousin, so definitely.
Oh, your cousin. All right.
Council President Brenmore and council members, I have Ms. Kathy Inglesrud on the line.
Welcome, Ms. Inglesrud.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Just let me know when you want me to begin.
Welcome. You can begin anytime.
Okay, great. All right. Yeah, my name is Kathy Inglesrud, Kathy Inglesrud-Stern. I've lived most of my adult life in Southwest Roseville, raised 2 kids, went to public school, never worried too much about the neighborhood, feeling really proud to be around families who just do their best every day, and enjoyed Setzers and Tom's Mobile and, just all of the small businesses in the area. One spring day, almost 2 years ago, all of this was kind of swirling through my head after I witnessed a sex trafficking incident. It was in the Walgreens and Burger King parking lot, kitty corner from Lamplighter. And I just have no doubt in my mind this probably wouldn't have happened if it were not for the fact of the customer base and the worker base over at the Lamplighter. It was heartbreaking. It was a young Black girl and 2 handlers. One was a middle-aged white woman, one, maybe a mixed race young man. They were in an SUV with a Black young woman in the back seat. The older woman conducting a phone conversation. The young man pulled the girl out of the back seat, ostensibly for a viewing. I was parked right next to them and just watched her kind of standing there, almost like she was being posed. She was a few feet away from me. A couple of seconds later, suddenly the doors quickly shut and they were all back in the vehicle. Maybe there was a John who was looking. I called in the license number, described things the best I could. It was a shocking kind of thing to witness because her face was really kind of close to me. I sell marketing services. I am a believer in tolerance of free enterprise as long as business is above board legal, and I, kind of take a live and let live sort of attitude. But in the case of the Lamplighter, I feel like this sort of business's time has just passed. It just doesn't, for me, it just doesn't have a really redeemable sort of place in our neighborhood, obviously, in today's society. And I'm particularly concerned about the young women who have to see this sign on their way to school. There are hundreds of young women and their families who are being bused or driven to the Community School of Excellence. And it's, it should be painful for anyone to think about how they have to see the signage of the lamplighter and whether it's really okay for them to have to ponder the existence of the lamplighter. It's a block away from where they go to learn. So I'm very respectful of your duties today. Thank you very much for letting me have voice to this.
Thank you, Ms. Ingletrud, and thanks for speaking on behalf of the neighborhood as a community member who has lived there a long time and invested there as a community member. We appreciate your testimony, and we are also engaged in making a difference and a change here at Rice and Larpenteur. So thank you very, very much for your testimony today.
Thank you. Yeah, very pleased. All right, good luck.
Thank you.
Council President Bren Moen. The next speaker is Mr. Noah Black, the father of Nia Black.
Welcome, Mr. Black.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you. I just want to speak real briefly. I didn't have much to say. My daughter Nia was a very positive and hardworking young woman who had dreams beyond, you can imagine. She had a heart of gold, and she was just willing to do anything and everything for anyone. She was just that type of person. And watching briefly some of the footage of what went down at that nightclub, the Lamplighter, I just don't understand how they could even stay in business. One thing stuck out to me while all those children and people was out there, not one police officer was there. No security sitting outside. When you have that type of crowd around any type of establishment, you're supposed to have some type of police officer, security, off-duty police, anything. No one was around there. And this travesty went on for a half an hour or better. And no one to break this up. And I'm just seeing this establishment just sitting there, and the owners, I don't see nobody coming outside, no one to try to prevent this situation. It was ridiculous. And to see my daughter Nia fall a victim of something that could be easily prevented by because this is not the first time something like this has happened there. After the first time someone got hurt there, wouldn't that tell someone that we need to have security or maybe shut it down? If you can't operate the establishment the way it's supposed to be operated, it doesn't need to be open. No one else needs to have to suffer the heartache that this family has had to go through over the last 8 to 9 months by losing a child because of an establishment like that doesn't even need to be open. I just hope that we make the proper decisions when it comes to this place, the Lamplighter, and not let the doors open again. They do not need to be in business, and any other club up there that operates that way do not need to be operating at all. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Black. Thank you for your testimony and for your comments. And I'm very, very sorry for the loss of your daughter. And I appreciate the work that you and your family and this community that has come around you to support the work you're doing is doing to change things here at Rice and Larpenteur and also on a larger scale. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for giving me the time.
Council President Bren Moen and council members, I have Kim Whiteface from Ayati Group with Andon Young Center on the line.
Welcome, Ms. Whiteface.
Yes, hi. So I was introduced about this through Dana Nelson. And I, for one, had no idea, because I've been here for a year in St. Paul. I had no idea that the Lamplighter was a strip club until Dana came and said something to me this past weekend. And right away, I was like, that explains why I see so much negativity outside. I, for one, I've been 21 months sober. I have a family of 4 kids, and even because Larpenteur is my street, I drive Larpenteur all the time, every day, it's just my street. Anyways, long story short, I told Dana that for one, I do not like when the red light, or when the stoplight turns red right there on Larpenteur and Rice. I do not like when it turns red. I am automatically turning off it and going around the block. I don't feel safe when I pull up to a red light right there. I automatically lock my doors. I roll up my windows. I turn off my music, and I'm automatically calling someone on my phone if I'm stuck right there in traffic.
30 seconds.
Why do I say that? Because I came from that background, the gang life. And there's no morals anymore to that gang life. They are very manipulative, very violent. And the very first time that I cruised by right there, I seen 3 different gangs. How do I know that? Because the way I've seen gangs carry themselves. So I knew it was 3 different gangs, and I was like, that's a whole lot of activity just for that little, because I read it as cocktail lounge, so I thought it was a bar. But little did I know that there's all that activity going on right there. And that explains, that just gave me an explanation of why I feel so unsafe at that stoplight.
Ms. Whiteface, just a quick question. Did you, for the record, did you say that you live in the Rice Larpenteur neighborhood?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Okay, great. So, all right. I just wanted to make sure that we know that we have lots of people who live in the community who are impacted. And so just clarifying that you are a resident in the neighborhood, raising your family.
Yes.
So thank you very much for your testimony here today. We really appreciate your taking the time.
Council President Bren Moen. The next speaker is Raven Black.
Welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Lamplighter is an establishment that is allegedly supposed to serve as entertainment for its community, and I don't find anything they're doing amusing. Irresponsible and incapable of keeping their customers and community safe. My sister, Nia Madi Black, was murdered, 23 years old, and I'm looking at the screen, and you guys all got to live past 23, but she didn't. I watched the videos from that night, and I heard the gunshots in the Lamplighter's parking lot. I heard the very weapon that took my sister's life. Lamplighter's lackluster or lack of security doesn't affect just St. Paul or Minnesota. Ask Nia's sister in Washington, D.C. Ask Nia's stepfather in Georgia. Ask Nia's godmom in Illinois. Ask Nia's cousins in North Carolina. Ask me, as I found out the news of my sister and alone in my bedroom at 1 in the morning, 1,000 miles away from home at college, while some girls are screaming on the phone, crying to me, struggling to tell me that my sister was shot in the head. Lamplighter's renewal isn't just a St. Paul issue, but national destruction, causing breakdowns in families. As my son, 7 Orion Black, who was born on January 19th this year, he was not able to meet Nia at all. Nia didn't even know that I was pregnant with him because I found out about him a week before Nia passed away. His name is Seven because it means perfect timing, and I got to get him the same time I lost Nia. But the question is, what purpose does Lamplighter serve? Is it only to take from people? And how dare they name themselves Lamplighters when all they've done is set fire in people's homes and their families? Why would any place like this deserve to be renewed? Why would we stand for having that type of place in our world and in our community? What is the purpose of them? Is it really that important to have that type of entertainment, quote unquote, around us? Because it doesn't sound like entertainment to me. It sounds like devastation.
Ms. Black, thank you so much for your testimony, and I'm so sorry about the loss of your sister, and really appreciate your perspective of how widespread the devastation of her loss and this violence really is. Thanks for testifying today, and we will work with you and our community here to make things better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President Brenmore and council members, I have Karen Groening, Chair from North End Neighborhood Organization on the line.
Welcome, Ms. Groening.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President Brenmore and council members. The Lamplighter is one of 3 of our hotspots for violence in the North End. And I want to talk about, Carrie provided a lot of details and stats earlier, but I'm going to talk about some other things. Juwan Eugene Love, father of 5, was murdered in the parking lot of the Lamplighter on September 29, 2017. 1 person was shot inside the bar in November 2018. 2 people were shot in the Lamplighter parking lot in July of 2019. And as we've heard from so many of her family members, Nia Black was murdered in the parking lot last June. Since 2018, as you've discussed, there have been 729 recorded police visits. 562 of those were classified as proactive police visits. The other 167 calls include fights, assaults, weapons discharges, drunk driving, disorderly disturbances. I'm not sure how the city defines a problem property, but I would think 729 police visits in 3 years is excessive consumption of police resources. The violence tied to the Lamplighter decreases the livability and health of our neighborhood. When I participated in the walk with Nia's family, several residents of the apartment stopped by to talk about the Lamplighter and the violence and the shots fired that hit their building and other problems tied to the Lamplighter and how it negatively affects the quality of life in that part of the North End. A lot of the neighbors, as you've heard other people testify today, a lot of the neighbors would like the establishment closed. We are asking that at the very least, the city impose license conditions that require the business to take proactive steps to curb the violence inside and with their patrons or would-be patrons hanging around outside the establishment so that it improves the quality of life in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Groening. Appreciate your comments and the request that you've made, and also acknowledging that the North End Neighborhood Association has been calling for these sanctions and conditions for quite some time. So thank you for reminding us of that and putting this into context in terms of what is causing crime in the North End. Appreciate your comments very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Council President Brenmoen. The next speaker on the line is Ms. Chantel Richardson.
I'm sorry, Chantel, is it Richardson or Bridgerton?
Richardson.
Richardson, welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. I just wanted to say hello to you guys. It's nice to speak to you again. I remember meeting with you over the summer at McCarran's Lake down the street. In 2019, my life changed. I was a full-time caregiver, a part-time attendant at our neighborhood laundromat. I actually live right across the street from the Lamplighter. Now I can no longer care for my clients like I need to due to the physical pain and the mental pain. In 2019, I was a victim of gun violence over there. I was shot in my lower back. By the grace of God, I did survive, but I do endure a lot of physical pain and
and mental. Like I said, my home is right across the street. Every day I relive that moment. For months I couldn't go outside. I couldn't even look out my window. I have nightmares all the time. My back is constantly in pain and the bullet still remains inside of me. The lamplighter is not welcome here, not now and not never. No one ever even came out to check on me and to see if I was okay. They are careless and they are money hungry. And even when lives are being taken or changed, they do not come out. I am right beside Nia Black's family and many others. My mother walked past my blood on the concrete every day while going to the store. I went into the establishment to let them know that I was the one that got shot because they actually know me by face, and I got nothing but empty sorries. They will open the doors for you and allow you to spend your money, but they will close their doors and their backs on you when there is violence occurring outside of their establishment. I do not want them open. I do not feel safe. I have nieces and nephews that come over. I like to take them outside. It is not fair for us to feel like if we go outside to have a barbecue or anything like that, that we are going to be harmed or hurt. I just want to point out that there's lots of kids and families around here. We need something that will bring to the community, not take away. They say that if they stay open, that they will have to have better cameras and metal detectors. I've been in there. They have quote-unquote metal detectors. Nothing is going to work. They just don't need to be there. They just don't care about anything and anybody. It's all about the money. That man looked me right in the eye, the owner, and just simply said, "Oh, I'm sorry, that was you," and walked away and proceeded to take care of other customers that were spending money. And I don't feel like that's fair. I don't want to move. I'm not going to allow them to make me move. They have to move. This is my neighborhood and this is my home, and they're not welcome here at all.
Ms. Richardson, thank you so much for testifying. And it was very nice to meet you last summer at McCarran's Park. I know we talked for quite a while about your injury and just the devastation that it's caused you, and just the response from the business. And I'm so appreciative that you were lending your voice to this conversation and helping us move forward to make your neighborhood better. And I just want to acknowledge that were a victim of a terribly violent incident, and I'm very sorry. And I hope that we can make a difference with you and for you in your neighborhood. So thanks for testifying today.
Thank you so much for giving me the time to share my story and be able to speak for the people that are not here and can't speak for themselves. So I really appreciate it.
Council President Brenmoen and council members, I have Mr. Bracey, the father of Nia Black, on the line.
Welcome, Mr. Bracey.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep, welcome. You can start your testimony. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we have to have this conversation. As you know, our daughter was killed over there at the lamplighter, Nia Black. There was a night where she went out with her friends, and there's no way possible that should have happened where she didn't come home. You know, she was a very bright young woman who had her whole life ahead of her. She was a business owner, you know, and that night was very tragic. I do believe she would still be alive had the lamplighter had the proper security to break up any fights or any disagreements or anything else that occurred that night. You know, and then the other thing that I have a problem with is the young man well, he's not a younger man, but the man that the incident occurred where he was shooting, he also had a prior incident at that same club where he shot someone else, and that bail went unanswered and nothing was done about that. And just for me, I don't live in Minnesota anymore. I live in Atlanta, but I just find it hard to believe that in a strip club that is in a living around and all the incidents that's taken place there at that particular place, from shootings to arguments to fights to whatever it is, that they allowed this place to stay open. You have people living there with children, you know, mothers and fathers who work, who try to strive to do better. And you have that setting there, and it's ignited at night. You know, people show up, things happen, you know, guns get pulled, bullets fly. And I don't want for anyone's child, I don't want for anyone's loved one or anything else to be injured or killed because of the club's lack of the club's lack of respect for its patronage or the people that are around the club. I just don't understand how would they be able to stay in business with all the infractions that have occurred over there in that neighborhood. You know, and like I said, you have people living there. What if a bullet flies through a window or a wall and strikes a child? There's no way possible that this establishment should be up and running. Their license should not be renewed. They should not be allowed to do business in that neighborhood. I just heard the testimony of the young lady before you guys, before me, and it's just evident that there's just too much damage being done there. And like I said, for my family, you know, we miss our daughter immensely, you know, and there is nothing for us. You know, that pain is constant for us, you know, and if we can stop this thing from going forward so no one else can be injured, at least from that club at least, then that is our main goal and mission. Nia's name, her legacy, our family, you know, it's an ongoing tragedy. And for us to sit here and have to, you know, I'm not saying that we're begging for people to do the right thing, but it is an ask that I don't think is impossible for it to be done to close the lamplighter. And like I said, our daughter, Nia Black, she should be here. If security was there, they could have broken up that fight, dispersed everyone, and maybe everyone would have went home safely. But that didn't happen. And I'm just at a loss. Her mother's at a loss. The family's at a loss. And like I said, I just want for the establishment to be shut down, you know, their licenses to be pulled, so this can't happen to anyone else or anyone in that neighborhood. You know, I thank you for your time, of giving me the time to express, you know, my feelings about the lamplighter, and hopefully the right thing can be done.
Thank you, Mr. Bracey. We appreciate your testimony very much, and I'm very sorry about the loss of your daughter, and the devastation that's caused to your family. And I really appreciate the continued effort to make a difference here in Rice-Larpenteur and to reduce gun violence everywhere. So your comments we hear you, and we stand ready to work with you to make this a better and safer place for everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Council President Bren Moen. The next speaker is Ms. Amanda Scott Lertle from Mothers Against Community Gun Violence.
Good morning, council members and my fellow testifiers. Thank you so much for the chance to add my voice to the conversation today. I'm part of Nia's Aveda Institute extended family. I'm honored to have been asked by Mothers Against Community Gun Violence to speak regarding the lamplighter business because Nia Black's murder has left her Aveda family devastated. I cannot put into words what an incredible person Nia was. I remember even in her first days of school, you could tell she was going to make her mark on this world. I marched with the Mothers Against Gun Violence, Community Gun Violence Peace March, and when we arrived at the lamplighter, I was astounded. The community, the neighborhood, literally came out onto their balconies, the sidewalks, and they added their voices to ours against the lamplighter as a local business. I implore you to look at the fact that Mothers Against Community Gun Violence has had such a strong showing at this hearing. It shows that we do believe this conversation we're having today has the power to hold this business accountable for their unbelievable lack of responsibility to their community. Today's testimonies really bring an alarming clarity to the fact that the lamplighter does not make anyone's safety a priority over their own profits. I believe running any business is a privilege and it comes with responsibilities. Their truly unusual police record shows that the lamplighter is largely disinterested in keeping families in their neighborhoods safe. But there is a clear blueprint for moving forward in a different direction. The Rice and Larpenteur Vision Plan is an excellent precedent showing how businesses can thrive and bring safety and positivity. Just think what a new business opportunity would bring to promote sense of community that you deserve so very much.
30 seconds.
Myself, I live in St. Louis Park, and thank you. I will be honest, I will never visit the Lamplighter. Their bars and the Lamplighter has a very different reputation. I will never patronize it. Please take every legal recourse available to the council to choose not to renew this business license. It will show that St. Paul walks the talk of promoting community culture, the greater business culture across the Twin Cities Metro, and above all, the value of human life. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Scott Lerdahl. We appreciate your comments and your commitment here very much, and sorry for your loss as well. In the life of Nia Black, and we truly do appreciate your perspective, and we're looking forward to working with the community to make a difference here. Thank you.
Council President Brandmon and council members, I have Mrs. Frederica Biggs on the line.
Welcome, Ms. Biggs.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Nia Black's aunt. Nia is Nia Boo to me. I'm Auntie Freddie to her. And so I'm just calling in, just appalled about why we're here again after so many years, after constantly sitting at this table with other lives that have been lost due to this particular establishment. You saw and you met the young lady that spoke earlier that was walking around with a bullet in her back, unfortunately. But you would never meet Nia. You would never be able to say, it was nice to meet you. Nia's gone with the rest of the 4 or 5 people that was killed on this parking lot of this ungodly place that you call an establishment. I'm calling from Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, and we put these types of things together, and there's no way that we take this many years to get rid of such an ungodly place that has taken so many lives like this, and to continue to come to the table and say we're sorry. How many times should we say we're sorry? When it gets to someone's steps, on their steps, and it reaches their family, then you can say, oh, we're going to do something. How many more lives? How many more years do we have to do this? I'm sitting here. I'm not going to go down the list of Nia's accomplishments because you've heard her accomplishments. You have heard that she is was a vibrant young lady. She had her whole life ahead of her. Instead, it was taken, killed senselessly. So I am just in awe of why we are here again. What do we have to do? What has to have happened again for us to take this license away from these people here in a residential neighborhood? Why? What does we just have to do? What has to happen? More people have to be killed in order for this to be taken? Please. I'm asking you, please not let another life be taken and we be at this table once again saying that we are sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Biggs. I appreciate your testimony so much. And when you refer to yourself as Auntie Freddie and your niece as Nia Boo, it really puts, such a human perspective on this, and every life injured and every life lost is a tragedy. And I think you're 100% right. Like, what needs to happen for us to be able to take swift and serious action is, it seems that we've reached a max. And unfortunately, we've lost lives, and something needs to change here. And I fully agree. I appreciate your thoughts and stand at the ready to work with you, your family, and the community to make this intersection better, safer, and livable for everybody. And I just really appreciate your thoughts and comments here so much today. So thank you for joining us.
Council President Bren Moen. The next person to testify is Ms. Sherry Sanders of the Lake McCarran's Neighborhood Association.
Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Sanders.
Thank you. Hello, thank you for this time. Again, my name is Sherry Sanders from McCarran's community in Southeast Roseville. I believe that keeping the lamplighter open is done at the cost of human lives, and many nearby residents are concerned about how dangerous this establishment is to the surrounding communities of 3 cities. There has been chronic incidents of including disturbing the peace, disorderly conduct, public drunkenness, obscene and illegal behavior, criminal damage to property, auto theft, aggravated physical assault, domestic violence, and even child kidnapping, to vehicular and deaths and discharging of firearms and murders, as previously stated. And there will be more if you allow it to continue. The future and long-awaited revitalization of the Rice and Larpenteur community depends on ridding our neighborhood of the blight, danger, and hazards of the lamplighter that has been exemplified for decades. The cities of St. Paul, Minneapolis, and Roseville deserve the demise of this plague. The sole purpose of this business is to profit from the exploitation of women. Renewing this license says St. Paul is okay with violence and murder for tax money. Hundreds of police calls shockingly reflect the history of illegal behavior that calls for the revocation of this license. Please make public safety your highest priority, and thank you for your time and consideration in this matter.
Thank you, Ms. Sanders. Thank you so much for your comments here today, and also for being a committed leader in the work to improve Rice Larpenteur. And we just really appreciate your thoughts specifically on this business today, but also your thoughts and comments on how we can make your neighborhood, our neighborhood, a better, safer place for all of our residents. Thank you for your tireless work at Rice and Larpenteur.
You're welcome.
If I'm not yeah, go ahead.
There are 2 people who we left messages for, and we're giving them the last call back. If you can give us just a few seconds, we can confirm that you've already received all the testimony.
Okay. While you're making those calls, I would just offer to my colleagues, again, we have a license renewal on our agenda today at 3:30. Today's public hearing is just a community impact statement, and something that our council has the authority to hold and to hear in response to issues in our communities. And if there are council members who would like to respond at all to the comments we've heard today, the testimony has been powerful. It's been impactful to me. I'm familiar with many of these stories, and still tears are in my eyes listening to people's concerns widespread. So I just wanted to offer an opportunity if others would like to share thoughts. Again, we will have comments more related to the license renewal at 3:30 meeting. I see Ms. Naker, Ms. Yang, and Mr. Tolbert have hands up. So let's start with Ms. Naker.
Thanks, Council President. I really appreciate you giving us the chance to speak now. I'm so grateful to everyone who took time to speak with us this morning. And I am also feeling extremely shaken as a mother and as a St. Paul resident and as someone who's had establishments like this in my neighborhood. I am so sorry for the awful atrocities that have happened to so many. And as a policymaker, I'm frankly struggling to understand how conditions have not been put on this license when they have been requested multiple times. I have a lot of questions for our Department of Safety and Inspections that I intend to ask this afternoon. But it seems to me that those conditions should have already been applied and that we should be dealing with a property that has proceeded to violate those conditions had they been applied when they were requested originally. So I have a lot of questions for our staff, but I think there could not be more clear that there is no reason why an establishment, there's no higher value than protecting the life and the safety of the people in our community, and no establishment trumps that. So I am really looking forward to further conversation about this today.
Thank you, Ms. Dinker. Ms. Yang.
Thanks, Council President. I'd like to say thank you to all of the people who came to testify today. I'm deeply touched by your courage to share the pain and the trauma that you have lived through, and to turn that into a vehicle to create change so that no one else has to go through what you're going through. The things that you shared really hit home for me. When you talked about getting a phone call from someone, hearing about your family member getting shot, that's something that I have experienced with my brother getting shot when he was 14 years old. And these are memories that will stay with us forever. And I hope that you find time for deep grieving and healing as well, and that you continue to fight for what you believe in. I am with you all as well, and we will definitely keep working on this. I have a lot of questions as well, and just want you to know that my heart is with you, and I'm here to fight for justice with you too. I do have a question, Council President. I'm just curious about the vote that we are taking today. What is the outcome of not approving it, and then what is also the outcome if the council were to approve it too?
That is a good question, and I think that we can entertain all of those. What if we do this? What if we do that at the 3:30 meeting when we have our attorney and staff there present? And I am working on that today to make sure that we are prepared to answer all of those questions. But I don't think that we're prepared to answer them at this time.
Okay, great, because that is a question that I have, so I do hope we can get it answered. And I do believe one life lost is already too much, and we need to put a stop to this. And so we are the people who can do it, and so let's do that.
Thank you, Ms. Yang. Mr. Tolbert.
Yeah, I just have to say, this is, in my 9 years on the council, this is one of the most heartbreaking meetings or public hearings, maybe the most heartbreaking that I have ever been a part of. It is extremely sad and emotional, but it's also inspiring to see the unanimity of the community that this is not acceptable in our community, that this type of place is not acceptable. And from this hearing, I think there's one obvious and common denominator, and that's the lamplighter. And it's beyond obvious that they are an extreme public safety risk to our entire community and, quite frankly, surrounding communities. To have multiple jurisdictions, multiple neighborhoods, multiple people and victims come forward and talk about what this one location has meant to the detriment of their city and to people is it's sad and heartbreaking, but it's also inspiring to see people come together and say no. I want to thank all the community members, the victims who are family members, the residents, the businesses, and community leaders for having the bravery and courage to speak up and say no, not here, not in our community, not in our city or cities, and not in our region. That is one thing I take away, and I think we have some work to do before council and into the future on this. But I appreciate everybody coming out and my really thinking particularly of the victims' families who testified here today. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tolbert. Mr. Tao.
Thank you, Mr. President. Want to thank all the community leaders, community members, and who can join us today to speak on this issue. Deeply disappointed at the business establishment to allow this to happen for so many years and to take lives from the community. And so I look forward to this public hearing or later today and to make a decision that I think will be fair and will make sense and that will help the city and to help the neighborhood prosper and grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tao. Mr. Tolbert, did you have your hand up again or just not still up? Okay, making sure. Ms. Prince.
Thank you, Council President Brenmone. And I'll be very brief. I agree with everything that my colleagues have said. And I just want to thank in particular the families who have been impacted by this for coming forward and making clear how, as my colleague said, that this is just so utterly tragic and unacceptable in our community. So thank you for being here. Your words have made a tremendous difference. And we will be taking action this afternoon.
Thank you, Ms. Prince. All right. Well, thank you. Again, repeating what I've said many times today, this is an important conversation. I wanted to have a community impact statement to bring the attention of the struggles of this community and particular individuals over many years to the attention of the public, to the media, to my colleagues, and really to our DSI and our city attorney's office as we move forward today for our renewal conversation. And as Mr. Tolbert said, we have some work to do in terms of figuring out how to move forward in a manner that will stick, if you will. And so we should have a proposal and we'll be able to answer the questions that Ms. Yang brought up earlier as well. But again, so much gratitude to the people who courageously shared their personal stories, who talked about their neighborhood, their commitment to, justice, for safety, for livability, and every family, every community member deserves to live in a safe place. And this council, I know, stands united in ensuring that safety is there everywhere in the city. So we will hear this item today at 3:30. I appreciate folks' time and energy, effort, and again, stories here today. There is nothing else on our agenda to come before us. So with that, we will be adjourned.